There are two powers that alone can effect in their conjunction the great and difficult thing which is the aim of our endeavor, a fixed and unfailing aspiration that calls from below, and a supreme grace from above that answers. But the supreme grace will act only in the conditions of the light and the truth. It will not act in conditions laid upon it by the falsehood and the ignorance. For if it were to yield to the demands of the falsehood, it would defeat its own purpose. These are the conditions of the light and truth, the sole conditions under which the highest force will descend, and it is only the very highest supramental force descending from above and opening from below that can victoriously handle the physical nature and annihilate its difficulties. There must be a total and sincere surrender. There must be an exclusive self-opening to the divine power. There must be a constant and integral choice of the truth that is descending, a constant and integral rejection of the falsehood of the mental, vital, and physical powers and appearances that still rule the earth nature. The surrender must be total and seize all the parts of the being. It is not enough that the psychic should respond and the higher mental accept, or even the inner vital submit, and the inner physical consciousness feel the influence. There must be in no part of the being, even the most external, anything that makes a reserve, anything that hides behind doubts, confusion, and subterfuges, anything that revolts or refuses. If part of the being surrenders, but another part reserves itself, follows its own way or makes its own conditions, then each time that happens, you are yourself pushing the divine grace away from you. If behind your devotion and surrender you make a cover for your desires, egoistic demands, and vital insistencies, if you put these things in place of the true aspiration, or mix them with it, and try to impose them on the divine Shakti, then it is idle to invoke the divine grace to transform you. If you open yourself on one side or in one part to the truth, and on another side are constantly opening the gates to hostile forces, it is vain to expect that the divine grace will abide with you. You must keep the temple clean if you wish to install there the living presence.
So welcome everyone. Today we have hi prayer of April 23, 1914 with us. And just a second, just put this on the side. Yeah. And there was a bit where I thought we could take up a few lines from again Sri Aurobindo's synthesis of yoga, which will come, I think, in the second paragraph. Yeah, where he talks about what maybe we can relate. So I'll read out those lines later, but first we take up the prayer, read it aloud, and then we can share reflections. Yeah, anyone who feels like reading, please go ahead.
Yeah, Monica, I'll read.
Yes, please. Yeah.
April 23rd, 1914. All rules have vanished. The regularity of the discipline is gone. All effort has ceased, not by my own will, nor, I believe, through negligence, but because circumstances are working together to bring this about. It seems that this inner will, always alert, like a steersman holding the rudder, has evaporated or fallen asleep, and my being is only something peacefully surrendered, which lets itself be carried along by the stream. Till now, it seems to me the course has always been in a straight line, and I would keep the hope that is thou, O Lord, who guidest the stream. But surely, if I have erred at times through too great a rigidity, a lack of suppleness and spontaneity, it could very well be that now I err through the opposite excess. I have come to accept peacefully the state I am in and to tell myself that thou wilt bestow upon me the true consciousness, the absolute consciousness, when thou thinkest it best. I look at all this changing world as a game unfolding itself, and I take part in this game with the same energy and conviction with which I would if I believed it real and important. All this is very new, but what is certain is that never before were my mind and heart in so complete a repose. What will come out of that, I do not know, but I trust in thee, O Lord. Thou knowest the best way of using and developing thy instrument.
Thank you, Shardaji. So, anyone, any sharing, any reflection here at this moment? Okay, so I'm going to just read it out again. We'll take it bit by bit and then feel free to share anything if it comes. So, Mother is in Pondicherry, as we know, at this day, April 23, 1914, and she's been observing many changes that are happening. And there's this another change or transformation that she sees, where she says, all rules have vanished. The regularity of the discipline is gone. All effort has ceased, not by my own will, nor, I believe, through negligence, but because circumstances are working together to bring this about. So many a times, as on reading this, we can just be take it very frivolously. See, we don't need any rules. Mother is sharing that we don't need any rules. But we have to see that when we also read the prayer further, there's that Mother has followed the rules and disciplines very, very vigilantly for a very long time. And now this stage has come that one goes beyond the rules and all the disciplines. So this cannot be compared with our living without rules and discipline. I think we have to be very careful there, because otherwise one can see, see, Mother is also saying that, there are no need of rules. So, here, as man comes from the animal, and Sri Aurobindo says that first we have to let go of animality in us so that we can, be a man and then the divine man. So, all these animal instincts in us, which are there now, animal is very instinctive. It if it's hungry, it would eat. If it's not hungry and if it's time to eat, then it would not eat. But we human beings are a bit kind of ahead of that, in the sense that we, through reason and through understanding, we develop a discipline. We say, okay, this is my meal time. So whether I am feeling hungry or not hungry, I will eat. Why? Because it is my discipline. This is the time I eat. So we can say that we are growing further away from instincts and developing like a collective, discipline. Like, like in a home, we live 4 or 5 people or more. We cannot say that every time, whenever everybody would be hungry, only then the food would be cooked and be eaten. That cannot happen. So we have to go forward from the instincts, that because of this collectivity that we live in, we have to be in discipline. And same for the red light, red lights, red signals, that I cannot say that now I'm not feeling like following it. We can't say that, because there are other people also. I have to take care that I don't get struck by anything coming here and there. So there needs to be a discipline if there needs to be any kind of little harmony and organization as we live collectively. So for that, we create a certain discipline, right? And discipline helps us. For example, we can create a discipline that, when would I meditate? Maybe in the morning for 5 minutes, in the afternoon, I can set up my time, in the evening. So, and slowly it can stretch throughout the day. So, discipline has its own importance when we are coming from animal instincts. But most of the times, since we are very, very sticky beings, we get very glued to our disciplines. I remember this story of, which I was hearing maybe from one of the talks by Alok Pandey only, Dr. Alok Da, where he was sharing that Surendra Nath Johar, Tara Didi's dad in Delhi ashram. So somebody came, some sadhu came there in Delhi ashram, and he had this kind of two, three disciples walking in front of him, and they were, I don't know, maybe spreading flowers or maybe just spreading something in front while he was stepping on that. So he would not step on the bare earth.
Monica, leaves.
Leaves, yeah.
Because he could not walk on the earth being the Bhumi, our mother.
Yes. And I think he did not also want to
Yeah.
disturb insects or something, so that he can be gentle upon them.
Yes.
Something like that. Yeah.
But there is a one I want to mention, Devraha Baba.
Mm.
Used to be a yogi, and he suppose that he lived quite a long, some say 250 years or he used to walk on some kind of munch made by wooden, वो लकड़ी का munch. I had seen him in my childhood. He used to come in the field, and then he used to sit over there, and from there he used to bless all these things.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, thank you. Yes. So, Dr. Alok Pandey was sharing that Surendranath Johar, he was, of course, welcoming the sadhu in his Delhi ashram, and then he saw that it was causing actually so much unease that at every step, first the leaves have to be spread, as you rightly said, and then he mentioned something like that. Oh, I see that you are too attached to your idea of detachment, something like that.
Yes.
Yeah. So that's where what happens with us, that we become too rigid and too attached to our ideas and our conceptions of truth. And that's why I think there has to come a stage where we are not that rigid. Of course, rigidity has its own place, discipline has its own place, but there comes a time, and it's pretty advanced stage in the yoga, there comes a time where we go beyond the rules, and that intuitive knowledge has its own rules. There are no mental rules and disciplines holding us. And we also see with Mother Sri Aurobindo how they had really no fixed timings of eating, and Sri Aurobindo's Nirod Baran also shares that many a time Sri Aurobindo will eat at 11, then if mother is not coming, maybe at 12, then 1, then 2, so it did not matter to him whether his eating time is that proper or not. But that's we cannot jump directly to that state. That cannot happen. First, we have to follow a certain discipline in our life, so that through that discipline as a ladder, we can climb onto something higher, a discipline. Yeah. So anything here? Anyone? So
You rightly cautioned us.
Yeah.
You rightly cautioned us. Because sometimes it happens that we don't feel like rising in the morning. It's cold. अच्छा bed पे बैठे बैठे meditation कर लें फिर. Then I thought, but this is at the right moment, mother has instructed.
Yes.
Follow the discipline. Yes.
Yeah. So it seems that this inner will, whenever we are following any discipline or creating any discipline for ourselves, we have an will, an inner will, a conviction through which we create and follow that discipline. So Mother says that it seems that that inner will, always alert, vigilant, that okay, now it's time for me, to follow whatever I want to follow. Always alert, like a steersman holding the rudder, has evaporated or fallen asleep. So now a stage has come in mother's life that after following disciplines and all kind of austerities for as much as time required. Now she says that now, as if the inner will has evaporated, I can't see any inner will present, which is wanting me to follow a certain discipline. So it seems that this inner will, always alert, like a steersman holding the rudder, has evaporated or fallen asleep, and my being is only something peacefully surrendered, which lets itself be carried along by the stream. So, usually, how we are is we are like a leaf being thrown away by waters of life. And there also we can say that it's the stage that mother is describing, that, oh, I am peacefully surrendered. But again we have to be conscious that that's not what mother is talking of. She's talking of a stage which is much 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 further than that unconsciousness in which usually uh, we find ourselves. Like many a times we use this phrase, the let's flow with the flow of life. Many a times many young people especially use this phrase, that let me flow with life. But that flowing is a very unconscious flowing. Like I'm like an animal, that, oh, if I'm feeling like gorging on something, let me gorge, because I'm instinctively feeling like that. If I want to feel like 12 hours a day, let me sleep, because that's what I feel like. So that's animal instincts. But we have to rise beyond that. So first comes creating a discipline, creating a structure. And now she says that I feel that that's not there. There is as if no need for that. And she'll come to that later. And she says that as if something peacefully surrendered, which lets itself be carried along by the stream. So now there is so much abiding with the divine, that it doesn't matter whether the discipline is followed or not, because there is only one divine that one follows. So there is no need to stick to certain discipline, because the one thing that we need to stick to is the divine, and that's present everywhere, anywhere, in any situation, whether the discipline is followed, not followed. But now that stage has come, that one finds oneself totally glued to the divine. Then everything becomes sacred. Then one cannot say that if I'm not going to the mandir, then it's not sacred. Everywhere is the mandir. Like Kabir ji says, that he says, he mentions a state in one of his couplets, सब वन तो तुलसी भये और पर्वत शाली ग्राम, सब नदियां गंगा भई जब जाना आत्म राम. So he says that, yeah, sab vanto tulsi bhaye. So every plant that I touch is like tulsi, is sacred for me. Parvat Shaligram. So Shaligram, I am assuming, must be some sacred mountain or parvat. And he says that every piece of
Shaligram is a stone which has a kind of lines in it, and people keep it and worship it as a form of Vishnu. So Shaligram puja is very, very sacred, and very Vaishnavas people worship Shaligram.
Beautiful, beautiful. Thank you.
Yeah.
So he must be referring that. Yes,
Yeah.
Sharda ji? Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is not only Vaishnavas, even at home we are Shaivas. Yeah.
Okay. Achha.
Yeah, we also worship as Shiva and Parvati.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
know that Shaligram puja is the form of the Vishnu.
Okay.
Okay, but it is actually both. Vishnu will be there, Shiva also will be there. My
Okay.
father used to do. Yeah.
Wow. Okay. So
In
something
my
holy and
my
sacred.
family also,
Yeah.
and it has a particular lines. It is
Yeah.
said that a stone is taken from the river, and it has a lines in it. So that stone can be worshipped as Shaligram.
Okay.
Shal means a stone.
Yes. Yes.
Shal means a stone, pathar.
Yeah. Thank you. Yes.
Yeah.
So in this second line, Kabir is saying that sab parvat shaligram. So any rocky thing that I touch, any inanimate thing that I touch, it's as sacred to me as you were mentioning, that I am worshipping Vishnu or Shiva. Everything that I touch is as sacred to me. Sab nadiyan ganga bhai. So every water that I touch, each drop of water is like Ganga. It's not that Ganga is something separate and rest are drains and something else, not holy. Jab jana atam ram. So when we realize the divine presence within, then everything and everywhere that we see is just divinity. And
Beautiful.
yeah,
Can you
yeah.
please share this in the group?
Yes, I will share it. Yes.
Beautiful book.
Yeah.
Can you say it once again?
Yeah.
Yeah.
सब वन तो तुलसी भये और पर्वत शाली ग्राम, सब नदियां गंगा भई, जब जाना आत्म राम. Yeah. So when we realize the immanent divine within, I'll share it with all on the group. Yeah.
So, Monica, here the mother says you should have some discipline. At the same time, when you, when you grow, you should be able to leave it. That is what is the meaning?
I think that's the catch.
Okay.
Because for us, where we are right now, what I feel that we need is a balance of both, intuition, we'll come to intuition later, and discipline. Because we have seen that many a times when we become too rigid about our disciplines, it causes a lot of chaos and disharmony.
And it becomes mechanical also. I'm sitting in meditation, eyes closed, but mind is not able to. So,
Yes. Yes. So that's where I think the line is it's like one cannot draw a line for each one of us. Like there is no one formula. And that is why intuitive guidance is the best form of guidance. But mother says that before the intuitive guidance totally comes to front, be ruled by reason. So follow reason, follow discipline, follow, whatever analysis that you feel is required. Because I think we at times want to jump to some higher stage, which we cannot bypass the stages in between. It is impossible to bypass the stages in between. For example, if I want to see myself totally practically realize myself as pure consciousness, then it is impossible that I'll be able to bypass the witnessing consciousness. So that's why Buddhism, we talk about be mindful. So in mindfulness, there is duality. So I am mindful of something, there are still two, right? I am mindful, here is the awareness, and here is something that I am mindful of. So although this is still duality, but it is very good step from this entanglement that we usually are in. Like we don't even know and we are thinking. Now when I'm thinking, I know that I am thinking. So I'm mindful of the thought stream. So this witnessing aspect, I think, needs a lot of stability. And that's what our practice is, that to witness our thoughts, keep witnessing our feelings, stepping back from that. So that slowly as the stage progresses, to each his own, we can be in this lifetime or later lifetimes, totally realize ourselves as pure consciousness and not just talk about it, right? But then we cannot bypass this middle stage, which is witnessing consciousness and what I am witnessing, like the content of the witness. So yeah, so here also in this prayer, it's like I feel that it's a very kind of a prayer with warning also, but also a lot of promise in the future. Because then mother shares that how one has to be completely guided by some higher intuition, which Sri Aurobindo shares of supramental existence, that will be guided. He says that intuition is the link between the present stage that we are in and the supramental existence. So, and we all get intuitions, don't we? We get it in glimpses. Like it comes and then it disappears. It comes, then we can actually write down on a page all the times when we were intuitively guided. It's like they can come out and pop out in our memory very strongly. That, yeah, I had an intuition, like something like that is happening. But it's very intermittent. We can't rely on it fully. So we have to use the logical, analytical mind. That because I am not in touch with my intuition, which requires a silent mind space, that's why, okay, let me just use the limited instrument that I have, which is the logical analytical mind, so let me weigh the pros, the cons, all that, do the analysis, research. So
Sometimes it has a mask of anxiety also, because intuition is there. We don't, sometimes we are not able to judge whether it is intuition or it is my anxiety which is guiding me.
absolutely, absolutely. And then when we are not sure, it's better that we analyze it with the analytical
Analyze
mind.
it. Yes.
Yeah, so Sri Aurobindo also shares that one may have a drop of intuition. It's not that it may not come, but the moment it enters the mental consciousness, it gets distorted. So what we get is a distorted version of our intuition. So the mind is full of desires and all kind of biases that we have, likes and preferences. The moment that drop of intuition comes, all this filter distorts it. The filter of likes, preferences, biases, and when it comes, trickles out of that filter, it is a distorted version of truth. So that's why we can't surely completely rely on it all the times, and that's what we will in future, and in times to come, totally be guided by intuition, so that this limited instrument, which has always a limited understanding, we go beyond that. Yeah. So let's go ahead and we'll see what Mother shares here. So far I was guided by the inner will, with discipline and all the rules in life, always alert, vigilant. But now Mother says that as if it has fallen asleep and my being is only something peacefully surrendered. Now one has this knowing that everywhere that I go, there is only divine. So how does it matter whether I'm in the mandir or not in the mandir? It doesn't matter when everything is the divine talking to me, interacting to me. Till now, it seems to me the course has always been in a straight line, and I would keep the hope. Now, this is beautiful because again, we with Mother's prayers, we see the divine humility, that she is the divine mother, and she is saying that I am hoping that it is you who is guiding my journey. So she's not sure about it. See, she has her own doubt, which one must have. Till now, it seems to me the course has always been in a straight line, following a certain parameter in life. And I would keep the hope that it is thou, O Lord, who guidest the stream. But surely, if I have erred at times through too great a rigidity, a lack of suppleness and spontaneity, it could very well be that now I err through the opposite axis. So it's like at times we are too confident, and in that we, as they say, if the egg is too confident, it falls off and breaks. I think there was a joke when we were little. So Mother is very wary, she's skeptical that I hope it is you who is guiding the path, because all that she wants is to follow the true, the divine. There is no personal like and bias. So that's why she's, kind of communing with the divine, that I hope that I am following the right way. Because then she shares that at times I have seen that in my rigidity, in my discipline, I have erred at many times, because of too much vigilance and too much like tightness, which again was a requirement on the journey. So she says that I have erred at times through too great a rigidity, a lack of suppleness and spontaneity. So many times, people may say that, okay, please, come out with us. Why are you not coming out? And she may say that, no, it's time for my meditation. And actually, we have an example. I think it was Mother herself, where they were going through a forest, like a kafila going through a forest, and it was evening time. And please correct me, who knows much than what I'm sharing. And then it was Mother's meditation time, and in the middle of the forest, Mother said that, oh, you go ahead, I have to sit here and I have to do the meditation. And she sat, and she actually shares that when she opened her eyes, it was like she saw a tiger staring at her, but then she closed the eyes again, and the tiger then disappeared. It was not there. She remained absolutely still. So that discipline also she followed. That's what we have to understand, that discipline was followed with a lot of persistence and conviction. Yeah, so now we can say that there is no spontaneity. So what she is saying, that I have erred through too greater rigidity, a lack of suppleness and spontaneity. Spontaneity can be that we are all going through together. Why don't you also come? Why do you have to stop for meditation? One can say, because that is not spontaneous. It is like you are giving a break. But that too is necessary. And now she says that I don't want to make mistake of just opening myself to a kind of a cluelessness, like there is no discipline and the suppleness and the flexibility. So now I don't want to make mistake there. I think we saw in a couple of weeks ago the prayer that we read, that there also mother was sharing that if I am making a mistake, just take care. Even if this is a mistake, uh, please utilize this mistake, something like that. Yeah. So it could be very well that now I err through the opposite excess. So maybe I follow another slippery slope, that I open myself too much to the flexibility.
Okay.
I have come to accept peacefully the state I am in, and to tell myself that thou will bestow upon me the true consciousness, the absolute consciousness, when thou thinkest it best. So again, mother, it's the divine mother, and she is plunged into this state of consciousness so that we can relate with this prayer, and we know that, oh, I also go through this confusion, we so that we can relate. It's not that mother needs to be in this state. She plunged into this state so that she can show us the way, that being in mortal human limited consciousness, what is the highest possible way that we can take, that to be wary, to be skeptical, and yet always wanting only the true and the divine, not allowing impurities to mix. So that's why we see the skepticism a bit here. And yeah, she's saying that I know that she's not in a hurry of totally connecting with becoming the divine, and she knows that when it has to happen, you will make it happen. What is the hurry? And we have that example which we have shared many times, where there are two people who are doing the sadhana. One is a jnani, other one is a bhakta. They ask Narad that when will I get enlightened? To one, Naradji says that maybe these many lifetimes, and he's becoming disappointed and he goes away, leaves the sadhana. The bhakta, he tells that as many as are leaves in the street, so many lifetimes, and he becomes elated that yes, it will happen, it will happen. So that kind of persistence, that kind of perseverance, that it doesn't matter how long it takes, I just want to walk this path, path of love. So there is a certitude here that we see. So anything here? Anyone?
Beautiful.
So I'll take a pause here and read something from Sri Aurobindo, where he shares exactly about this state that mother talks of, this intuitive dawning, how intuition has to come and we have to leave the limited mind. Yes. So I'll read a bit quickly, and I hope we are able to make sense of it. So if you want to close your eyes so that we don't get distracted, feel free. We find that it progresses towards a greater completeness in proportion as we arrive at two kinds of perfection. First, a greater and greater detachment from the control of lower suggestions. Secondly, an increasing discovery of a self-existent being, light, power, and ananda, which surpasses and transforms the normal humanity. The ethical mind becomes perfect in proportion as it detaches itself from desire, sense suggestion, impulse, customary dictated action, and discovers a self of right, love, strength, and purity in which it can live accomplished and make it the foundation of all its actions. The aesthetic mind is perfected in proportion as it detaches itself from all cruder pleasures and from outward conventional canons of aesthetic reason, and discovers a self existent self and spirit of pure and infinite beauty and delight, which gives its own light and joy to the material of aesthesis. The mind of knowledge is perfected when it gets away from impression and dogma and opinion and discovers a light of self knowledge and intuition which illumines all the working of sense and reason. The will is perfected when it gets away from behind its impulses and its customary ruts of effectuation and discovers an inner power of the spirit, which is the source of an intuitive and luminous action and an original harmonious creation. The movement of perfection is always from the domination by the lower nature and towards a pure and powerful reflection of the being, power, knowledge, and delight of spirit and self in buddhi. And then I'm just skipping and going directly to intuition. Just a second. So now he talks about the intuitive mind, again in Synthesis of Yoga, and how it has to be a bridge towards the supramental creation. Yeah. So man, he says, man has not to merely uncover the hidden sun of supermind in the subliminal cavern of his secret being, or remove the cloud of his mental ignorance from its face in the spiritual skies, so that it shall at once shine out in all its glory. So that's not the only thing that man has to go do. His task is much more complex and difficult because he is an evolutionary being, and by the evolution of nature of which he is part, he has been constituted with an inferior kind of knowledge, and this mental power of knowledge forms by its persistent customary action an obstacle to a new formation greater than its own nature. So we see again and again how the limited mental capacity becomes an obstacle. Yeah, and then he's sharing that how we feel so at times very skeptical of, oh, I can't see any path ahead. So how can I be sure? How can I be sure that I am guided? Because when we have a plan for everything, then we at least know that, oh, I know which way to walk upon. But now we see that we have to take a leap of faith if we are going beyond reason. So he's saying, if an animal mind were called upon to leave constantly the safe ground of sense impulse, sense understanding, and instinct for the perilous adventure of a reasoning intelligence, it might well turn back alarmed and unwilling from the effort. So if I am an animal and somebody is saying that, to begin to use reasoning and intelligence, I can't do that because, I have to go away from my senses. So I can't even think of that. That's what he's sharing. So same with the human beings when we are asked to go beyond reason. The human mind would here be called upon to make a still greater change, and although self-conscious and adventurous in the circle of possibility, might well hold this to be beyond the circle and reject the adventure. So I can say that no, it is just too much for me, and I can't just have faith in the unknown, because if I'm too stuck in my reason, I can't have faith in the unknown. So he says that then I may just reject the adventure. I would say no, I don't want to make this leap of faith. In fact, the change is only possible if there is first a spiritual development on our present level of consciousness, and it can be only undertaken securely when the mind has become aware of the greater self within, enamored of the infinite, so being in love with something greater than us, and confident of presence and guidance of divine and his Shakti. So this is what we were reading, that mother has been working upon her and has stabilized herself in such a state. What Sri Aurobindo is sharing here, it can only be undertaken securely when the mind has become aware of the greater self within, enamored of the infinite, and confident of the presence and guidance of the divine and his Shakti. Now he says, talks about intuition, that how now this can be a bridge. So he says that how will this conversion happen? The problem of this conversion resolves itself at first into a passage through a mediary status, and by the help of the one power, he calls intuition this power, the help of one power already at work in the human mind, which we can recognize as something supramental in its nature. Why? Because intuitive sense is beyond logic. We can say that I just know, I don't know how, why, I just know. So that's why he's saying that this is something which is already present in us with human mind, which we can recognize as something supramental in its nature, or at least in its origin, the faculty of intuition, a power of which we can feel the presence and the workings and are impressed when it acts by its superior efficiency, light, direct inspiration, and force, but we cannot understand or analyze as we understand or analyze the workings of our reason. So, this is the power which will work as an intermediary towards this supramental, existence and supramental being. So now he shares that how right now also we have intuition, but it acts in only glimpses. It comes and goes and comes and goes. The power of intuition acts in us at present, for the most part, in a covert manner, secret and involved in, or mostly veiled by the action of reason and the normal intelligence. So far as it emerges into a clear separate action, it is still occasional, partial, fragmentary, and of an intermittent character. It casts a sudden light, it makes a luminous suggestion, or it throws out a solitary brilliant clue, and or scatters a small number of isolated related intuitions, lustrous discriminations, inspirations or revelations, and it leaves the reason, will, mental sense or intelligence to do what each can or pleases with this seed of succor that has come to them from the depths or heights of our being. So this will relate with what Nandini was initially sharing, that it just like there is a drop of intuition that comes, then we have distortion at various levels. Mind can distort it, feelings can distort it, and then whatever comes out. So intuition doesn't bother, it doesn't bother that whether I am taken seriously or not. It is very calm. It has given its, done its purpose. Now it's up to the mind and will and the feelings to distort it. So now he shares that how the distortion happens. The mental powers immediately proceed to lay hold on these things and to manipulate and utilize them for our mental or vital purposes. And that's why Mother warns us again and again that if we want to walk on this path, we will have to step back from all likes, dislikes, preferences, biases, desires, nothing. Because then everything will get distorted. How will I know what is the divine will? Why we can't know the divine will? Because it gets distorted. My biases come in the middle, my preferences, my loved ones come in the middle. Yeah. I think that's what I'm hoping, that it was not too much. I was just a bit too fast. Yeah, so I'm just ending now, not sharing much. He shares that now it appears at once that there are two necessary lines of progress. What is the path ahead for us that we must follow? And the first is to extend the action of intuition and make it more constant. See, now we can trace the previous steps that we have been discussing in all the session. Why is it important to take the witnessing stance? And why is it important to make the mind quieter and calm? So that intuition can take charge. So he says that the first line is to extend the action of intuition. It's not that I only get intuitive hints once in a blue moon. Like once in a month, I get some intuitive hints. No. My life runs on intuition. More, so he says first is to extend the action of intuition, make it more constant, more persistent, and regular and all embracing until it is so intimate and normal to our being that it can take up all action now done by the ordinary mind and assume its place in the whole system. This cannot be wholly done so long as the ordinary mind continues to assert its power of independent action and intervention, or its habit of seizing on the light of intuition and manipulating it for its own purposes. So, as long as the mind has biases, as long as the mind is sticky, let me grasp this truth that is given to me, we will not be able to function with true intuition. It will always be distorted. So now we can trace the previous steps that Mother and Sri Aurobindo talk about, to step back from the desires, expectations, to keep stepping back and to make the mind really calm, free from likes, dislikes, and to await for the higher light. That has to become our life. It may be sounding like a far catch, but I think that's our way. That's what we have to walk upon if we want to do anything good with this life. So why I shared this, that because I felt that it was really resonating with what Mother is sharing in this prayer, that I have now gone beyond the rules and disciplines and everything, and this is what she has been going through. It's not that the other thing, that we cannot at this stage expect that I can leave all the rules and discipline. And why? Because I'm guided by intuition, not like that. So it has to be a step by step process. One has to be grounded. Yeah. So anything here, anyone? Yeah, okay, I'll take the last paragraph then. I look at all this changing world as a game unfolding itself, and I take part in this game with the same energy and conviction with which I would if I believed it real and important. So, again, two things at once: knowing that the world is fleeting, knowing that everything comes and goes, knowing that everything is transitory, parallelly also knowing that since it is the divine creation, we cannot shun it. Our work lies here in this world, in all the relationships, to make them in the image of the divine. So as Sri Aurobindo shares, that it is a dream, but it's a dream fact. Why dream fact? Because whose dream it is? It is the divine's dream. And if divine is there, if the divine exists, then his dream also has to be taken seriously. I cannot just shun it away, thinking that no, just somewhere apart from this world, I'll find liberation and this world can be left as it is. My thoughts, feelings can remain impure, but let me, go and escape to some other place, some hiding. So two things at once. Looking that all this is changing, everything is impermanent, fleeting, ephemeral, all the relationships, all that we create, and yet with full dedication to be able to create. You know, knowing that we are consecrating all that we are doing to one divine. So I look at all this changing world as a game unfolding itself, and I take part in this game with the same energy and conviction with which I would if I believed it real and important. So full seriousness. And yet if I lose something, so what? Like we have Champak Lalji's experience, where he gave somebody mother's picture and that somebody lost it. Now, for once, Champak Lalji became really agitated, like full anger, red, But immediately he realized that, oh, I have lost so many things in life, maybe this one also. So, sincere, serious, and yet the ability to be very flexible and like, okay, if I lost it, so what? So, again, I think that's what we have to individually find in ourselves, this kind of edge that we need to walk upon. All this is very new. But what is certain is that never before were my mind and heart in so complete a repose. Why can I be in repose? When can I be in repose? When my being is solidified in the divine. Knowing that each and every act in this world is the word act of divine. So I can really be in certitude that I will always be led into the direction where I need to go. When every act, every, like they say, that even a leaf doesn't move without divine will. So to not only understand that in theory, to have a practical realization of that, only then can I be in repose. Otherwise, we can become agitated at every instant, that, oh my God, what has happened? Oh my God, this is happening. Why? Because we don't have trust, full trust, solid trust. We may say that we have faith in divine. But whenever I become agitated and restless, that is a proof that my faith is not solid. That's where I need to work upon. If the faith is so solid, then things may actually turn upside down in front of me, but nothing in me will move. But I'm not there. So I have to work on my solidity of faith. So this repose that is there in the mind and heart, what will come out of that, I don't know. So to be open to whatever is unfolding, what will come out of that, I don't know. But I trust in thee, O Lord, thou knowest the best way of using and developing thy instrument. So, you know the best. I only can make myself sincere, which is our task, making ourselves more purer, sincerer. Rest, whatever is, is your will, and you know the best. I don't know the way ahead. Mother is also herself sharing that I don't know the way ahead. I don't know how it is going to unfold. All that she's taken care of in prayers and meditation is her sincerity and her purification. That's the personal effort required of us. And this Sri Aurobindo also shares in the book The Mother, that the personal effort of the sadhak is required, as long as I don't know if I find it. Yeah.
Monica,
Yes, Nandini.
can you elaborate a little more on sincerity? Because see, like obviously, living in the day-to-day world, my sincerity might be a different kind of, my definition of sincerity will be different from what somebody else's is, right? So how do I see? There are times when you think, at least I think that, I've done something like just walking my pet is a sincerity for me, because I know that is my discipline, and also the fact that I truly want to walk, like I have this many times I've had this option where At home they've also told that, why don't you just hire somebody, and or I've got it from other people also, what, I have this person who's a dog walker, and they can walk her or whatever. uh, that is a huge conflict for me. I mean, the reason I have a pet is because there are days, I mean, there are times, that not times, that walk with her is the best part of my day. And whether it's in the morning or whether it's in the evening, and that is my sincerity towards it, right? uh, but obviously when there are days when, I mean, um, like an example, like again, cooking, right? So there are people who are very sincerely cooking, whether it is for their family, whether it is, but there are times that I am not able to give that kind of probably time or effort into, that particular activity. So what how do we sort of, where does that I mean, is there that difference there? I mean, how do we decide what is true sincerity mean for, each one of us, or at least for me over here, I'm just trying to.
Yeah, I think one famous line by the mother that we have many a times read, where somebody asks what is sincerity, what it is to be sincere, and mother
Hmm.
says that, at days you are happy,
Hmm.
just
Ah.
know that you are sincere, and there are times when you are not happy, disappointed, or something. Just write a label beneath it that today I am unhappy, I am insincere. And to me, again, everyone is welcome to share. To me, it appears that what happens is that most of the times, or at some times, one is able to totally rely on the divine, and the divine presence is enough. Mother's
Hmm.
name is enough.
Enough. Oh,
But other times, mother's name is not enough.
enough. Right.
I still am looking for some approval from somebody. Maybe somebody,
Hmm.
calls, or maybe somebody approves of me. Maybe somebody makes a gesture to me, or at least appreciates what I'm doing. So
Hmm.
whenever we anchor ourselves of something outer, we are waiting for
Yeah.
something to happen, then it's the cause of our insincerity and disappointment. So this is our insincerity, that mother is not enough. That
Okay.
I'm still waiting for somebody outer to give me some approval and validation and recognition, that mother's presence in me, mother's name, that I can't rely on today. So that would be, for me, again, one of the ways. There could be many other ways to explain this. For me, I resonate with this, that today, I'm still waiting for something else to happen, and contentment in mother is not enough. So I'm insincere. So then I should not say that all I want is the mother. That
Hmm.
would be hypocrisy, because mother is there, but I don't want
Yeah.
just the mother, something else. Yeah. Yeah. Sharda ji, you want to add on?
Thank you, Monica. As if it is, said for me only.
For me too, you can be sure.
Beautiful. Thanks, Nandini, for asking this question. This
Yeah.
beautiful answer. So we all get from the mother, through. Beautiful. Yes.
That's one of the posts, right, in one of the groups, that has been like, in bathing time I think of mother, in cooking time.
Mhm.
That, yeah, I haven't read the whole thing yet, but I will. And yeah, so that's what. So sometimes, when you get to hear, right, I mean, you also tell your, say, suppose you're telling your children, you sincerely study. So what does it mean truly for, for someone? I mean, because your child might have said to you, I am doing what I can do. And is it that it's their sincerity, right? So
I think
sometimes
in
those.
that case, one can rephrase it like this, that what mother shares, that, whenever people are asking that how to find my true purpose in life, what is my true vocation that I am
Mm,
bound to do in this life. So mother says that, okay, it's a hard task to get to what truly is the mission in my life. But before I get to that, how to develop the right attitude And there she says that whatever little comes on your way, it could be cooking, it could be
Mm.
walking the dog, it could be attending to somebody, whatever little circumstance oriented I am in. Now I cannot escape. I am in the middle of situation. Can I give it, do the act with an act of servitude that I am doing it for the mother in the other person?
Okay.
Now, I think it's easier said than done because we are so lost in our thoughts that we may think that no, I think that, yeah, I'm serving the mother only. But actually, if we are really honest, we will see that most of the times we are lost in our thoughts and not truly dedicating the act to the mother. That
Yeah.
mother, I do it for you.
Mm.
So doing it with just for the mother, not wanting anything in return. No approval, no validation. Even if rejection comes, doesn't matter. I did it for the mother. You take your lesson and go ahead. That we are not able to do. We get disappointed because most of the times for us, mother is not enough. And so that's what we have to do. We have to make her presence so concrete and real in us that yes, mother is enough. I'm so content with the mother. Things will keep on changing, people will have shifting priorities, somebody someday, people will give me attention, somebody not, but I am my best friend, I am always with the mother. So that solidity we have to develop. So that's also one way of talking about sincerity, that whatever I do, I just offer it, do it as beautifully as I can, which again can be improvised further and further. Yeah, and no personal interest from that act.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you, Monica.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah. Anything more? Anyone? So I just wanted to read this one line from Sri Aurobindo's The Mother, where he says, "But so long as the lower nature is active, we can be all sure that it's active in me." But so long as the lower nature is active, the personal effort of the sadhaka remains necessary. So we cannot say that, yes, thinking, having wishful thinking that, yes, mother will do. No. That's what we were reading in this prayer, that personal discipline, personal sincerity, personal effort in purifying our thoughts and feelings, that is required. As long as ill will comes to me, as long as bad thoughts come to me, as long as jealousy, all these comparative analysis, that person is superior, I am inferior, or the other way around, all that is active, I will have to make personal effort to dissociate from those thoughts and say them, and not me, not me, that's not me. So the stepping back is required for the purification, and of course offering to the mother and many things. Yeah, so that's my personal effort, and that's what we were reading, that mother is saying that now that inner will is as if evaporated, because she has completely solidified herself in the divine, like there's nothing that she wants apart from the divine will. But we are not there, we still have our own willings, that maybe this should get done this way, why, because I want this, so that thing we have our willings. So as long as we have those, we have to be honest that we are biased, and if I want to walk towards true divine will, then let me be grounded that yes, I could be biased, so what can be the best way forward? Yeah. Yeah, any last comments, anyone?
Yeah, a quick comment. How to hold things lightly, yet say believing in something fervently, thinking this is good for me, this is for my welfare or for other people, and yet having that space that if I have to drop it, I'll drop it in a second. It is so beautiful to keep reminding myself of that. And you know how when you were reading again and again what Acharya ji used to say that कोई भी चीज सर का भार ना बने, है ना? And that's when I know I have been tricked again. If I'm saying that, oh, this I must do, as in having that flexibility and yet having a discipline. I mean, it sounds like how's that possible? And yet that beautiful balance is there, okay, doing everything and yet from a step back position. So, again, from Champak Lalji's poem also, that smile, the failures, right? Just smile to them and all are hers and do everything sincerely, knowing yet that nothing matters, right? Like it does, but it doesn't define you. It's not your failure, your success. You're just doing it for the higher purpose, for as you are guided. So yeah, just that reminder of holding things, everything with room and air and freedom and lightness. And if I do it for myself, I'm able to do it for others as well. And that's really nice, like that for the harmony and my own peace. And yeah. And one more thing, I wanted to share when we were talking about the basic restlessness, about, I don't know, lack of faith or something. I don't know. I feel that somewhere this thing that things will give me something, this event will give me something, this person, what if this happens? There is a restlessness कि मिलेगा या छिन जाएगा, मिलेगा या छिन जाएगा, that makes me dance to its tunes sort of times if I'm not watchful. I think again and again कि कुछ नहीं मिलेगा, कुछ नहीं
Absolutely.
मिलेगा.
Now you see, now we understand the meaning of disenchantment here. Why is it important? Disenchantment. And now we also see that how it is so hard to get disenchanted.
Hmm.
Everything holds me a promise. Kuch milega. And there again it would connect with what Nandini was sharing, insincerity. That see again, mother is not enough. फिर से कुछ बाहर से चाहिए. So that's why even mother, in her words, in Buddhism, we come across this word as disenchantment. In Sri Aurobindo, we come across the word as Jivan Mukta.
Hmm.
And in other words in Hindi spirituality, we use the word udasinta. That udasin, you're seated above this fleeting existence, beyond that, knowing that this cannot give you anything. What can give you something, you already have a touch with. And I think this also can be a beautiful indicator that whenever I become enchanted with anything, seeing that it holds a promise and it will give me something, I can be very sure that I am in that moment, getting destabilized from mother's presence. As to Huta Didi, mother would share that I don't go away anytime. You leave my pallu, you go away. Because see, something more interesting has happened. I think that's what we call sadhana, that this is where we have to sadhu ourselves, like to walk on this line of solid concrete, because then in that moment, that outer thing becomes more concrete for me. Mother's presence may go away. And I am thinking that, that it is just a happening, but no, it's not a happening. If I put effort, then in the very same situation, which may promise me something, in the very same situation, I can actually find a different me, where now it knows that yes, I may still interact in that situation, but I certainly know that that's not going to give me anything. That giving is always the act of the beggar inside us, which is the ego consciousness. It always lives with this sense of lack, and hence it always wants to consume something that it will add on to the sense of self. So again we get destabilized. That's why mother says that one needs innumerable experiences. Even for the best, one needs innumerable experiences, because we don't get convinced. So yeah, I just hopped on your train. Please go ahead.
I was done. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, so maybe we can take a moment and share the merit, the joy, understanding, and delight with all the sentient beings. And may we all have peace in our heart and minds, and joy and progress in life. Thank you, everyone.